Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show.
Hello folks, hello, it's Wednesday evening. This is the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show. We're proud to have our association with Green Cooling this year. My name's Dave Parkinson and I'm joined as ever by Steve Beech. How are you doing, Steve? You okay, mate?
Yeah, doing fine, thanks Parker. Just looking through obviously what we've got lined up for tonight, and we've got a nice mix just tonight, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a busy old show, isn't it? You know, we've got thoughts from the Northwest Men's League. We've got we've got a coach joining us from a National Conference League Premier Division side. We've got England Community Lions under-16s featuring, and we're talking to one of the National Conference League One's top players as well.
It's a real bucket list, isn't it?
I don't know how to respond to that. A bucket list. Right, I don't know about that. But we hope that you enjoy the show as well. Right, seeing as it's such a busy show that we've got lined up, we're also going to be talking about what's happening in Cumbria, Northwest Men's League, Yorkshire Men's League. It was the start of the Southern Conference League as well, so we've got the results from round one, and there's probably a few other results that we'll mention and fixtures along the way.
They're all starting to come in now, aren't they? Which is it shows you things are definitely getting underway.
Certainly does, Steve. But let's start first of all with Cumbria, and there was only one game which took place in the EB Lamb quarterfinals. So this was the quarterfinal stage of one of the many cup competitions that they do play up in Cumbria. This was between Aspatria and Cockermouth. At half-time, Aspatria led by 18 points to 4. They eventually got the job done by 24 points to 10. The try scorers for Aspatria came courtesy of Scott Donald, who added 2, and Mark Irwin, who also added 2. Ben Tootle chipping in with 4 conversions. For Cockermouth, they were always second best, unfortunately, on the day, but did have tries to cheer through Spencer Fulton and Ethan Cross, with Regan Tinian, who we've mentioned a couple of times on the show over the course of the last few weeks, haven't we, kicking a goal for the Titans. So the final score in that one, 24 points to 10. Now, there had been due to be 3 other games played in the EB Lamb Amateur Cup at the weekend. These were between Worthbrow Hornets and Maryport, Kells A and Lauker, and Hensingham A and Glasson Rangers. All 3 of them were postponed due to waterlogged pitches. Sorry, Adi, we're mentioning the weather again. It's been wet as hell up in Cumbria, and it's really taking its toll. This coming weekend, well, we have the return of the Holman Eagles and Cumberland League, and the fixtures as they are due to take place on Friday evening. Egremont Rangers A against Flimby, Hensingham A up against Worthbrow Hornets A, Dissington A hosting Aspatria, and on Saturday your fixtures from that very same division feature Askham versus Maryport, Lauker travelling over to Glasson Rangers, and Kells A making the trip over to face the Cockermouth Titans.
It's weather's playing havoc, isn't it, with the things at the moment? I mean, you look out the window and it's absolutely glorious, it's fantastic, and then next minute it's absolutely bouncing down with rain, or it's hailstone or what have you. And
I've got to set the hailstone the other morning.
Oh, don't tell me about it.
Wow. I mean, it woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which, you know, I was rather dischuffed, because my alarm usually goes off at 5:45 anyway.
To be fair, you shouldn't have been sleeping in the garden. Truth be known.
Well, you know, there's reasons behind that. You know, I'd lost my key. No. In seriousness, but it was absolutely bouncing down, and didn't half wake me up. So, so that's what's been happening in Cumbria. Moving on to the Northwest Men's League, Steve.
Yep.
And again, having a look at some of these fixtures in the Premier Division. Blackbrook 24, Shevington Sharks 22. We said that would be a good game.
Yeah.
Sounds it. We said this would be a good game. Hurstfinch against Halton Farmouth Hornets. It lived up to billing. Hurstfinch 22, Halton Farmouth Hornets 10.
Yeah, because the thing is, Parker, if you remember, Hurstfinch have been putting the the road through everybody, haven't they? You know, score-wise. So, I mean, that is a good effort from Alton fans on its Hurst Finch as well. Yeah.
And then finally in the Premier Division, Heysham Atoms 7, Latchford Albion 6.
It was certainly an interesting one, this, and this is a little bit of match report on it. In the North West Men's League, Latchford Albion were edged out in a low-scoring thriller at Heysham Atoms on Saturday. However, head coach Martyn Ellis was keen to heap praise on what was a young and inexperienced side after their 7-6 loss. A converted try followed by a drop goal gave Heysham a crucial 2-score lead on a very heavy pitch, and despite Latchford moving back to within striking distance thanks to Ben Harper's try and Nathan Bond's conversion, they could not find their way through, and a determined Heysham defence again. We turned up today with six of our under-18s stepping up to open age, and we gave them a real good go. And we were so close to turning this loss into a win, Ellis said. Within our 17-man squad, we had 9 players who have played less than 10 games for the club, but not one of them looked out of place. It gives us great confidence knowing that we have a great system in place for the development of our players moving forward who can compete at this level. Latchford now move on to face Ashton Burrs at Victoria Park on Saturday. Yeah. One thing that I mentioned that obviously Martin does on about the youngsters who are turning up and playing. He's a guy who's not frightened, is he, to sort of put these blokes in. It's all about development, isn't it?
No, I mean wherever he's been, wherever he's coached, he's always been keen to give people a chance. And I think that this bodes really well for the future of Latchford Albion. We've got a slight update because I know you recorded that, didn't you?
That's right,
a little bit earlier. And we've had an update on that fixture, so they'll now be playing Ashton Burrs on Friday night, and we can exclusively reveal that we'll be there.
Yeah,
and we can do a commentary.
Yeah, that's what we like. That's bearing in mind that it doesn't rain too bad between now and Friday.
Well, we'll be all right. It's in a stand.
We'll be fine, yeah. But
I mean, both teams might need a canoe.
We'll be watching water polo, you know that.
But this is why the place is built on stilts, Eddie. But yeah. Great to hear of such a close game, and well done Heysham Atoms as well. That's a really good result for them, and don't get me wrong, I know when you've got such a low scoring game like that, the first thing you think of is what was the weather like up there, and I know that it was very, very wet. I mean, let's be honest, it's halfway between here and Cumbria, and we know what happened in Cumbria at the weekend with all the games getting called off in the EB Lamb Cup, which we mentioned before, that were due to take place on Saturday.
Yeah, got to just say that from Heysham Atoms, try from Forest, which was goaled by Busby, and the all-important drop goal came from Cottle.
All right, okay. So easy man, is he, for a drop goal? Cottle.
It looks like it is, because that. Do you know what? That's a skill on a heavy pitch.
It is.
So hats off to you there.
It's a skill, full stop. There's many people who can't manage it, isn't there? You know, to be honest with you. Into Division 1, and these are the results that we have. So Charlie Panthers 18, Burton Wood Bridge 42, Dalton 24, Thatto Heath Crusaders 0. Goulburn Parkside 4, Salford City Roosters 22. Great win that for Salford City Roosters. Ulverston 20, Hindley 18. Another close run thing. And this one, which was really close between Westhoughton Lions and Wigan St Cuthberts. Westhoughton Lions 24, Wigan St Cuthberts 20. We've got some reaction from this, haven't we?
We certainly have.
Hi, I'm here with Sam Pennington, our head coach from Open Age. Sam, how do you think today went?
Yeah, really good. Managed to get a win against a tough physical side in Cuthberts.
Managed to get a win there. We'll just get that back. Won't be a second.
I think today went?
Yeah, really good. Managed to get a win against a tough physical side in Cuthberts. We knew they were going to come, we knew it was going to be a tough game, we had to dig deep. At half time, went in at 16-10 down, I said to the lads, we need to start the second half fast. Massive worry just before half time. We've had one of our forwards, Harry Denman, just dropped, had a bit of a seizure on the pitch, gone to hospital, waiting for an update. Fingers crossed he's okay, but our thoughts are with him at the minute. Hopefully, he makes full recovery. We'll see how he goes. And then second half, the boys grafted. It was a really tough game. At one point, we was 8 points up. We had 2 men sent to the sin bin. Really tough. They dug deep, the 11 lads who were on the pitch at the time. But we dug deep, we did it tough, managed to get over the winning line again, which kicked our league season off after the poor start we had away at Burtonwood.
Yeah, thanks. And everyone from the club well wishes to Harry. And then next week, tough game for St George's Day.
Yeah, so we're playing Dalton at home, we're the Lions, they're the Dragons, so we'll have a bit of a St George's Day celebration here next Saturday. Dalton are a good side, last year finished in the playoffs, they actually got to the grand final, but it didn't get played for some reason or another. But we know we're in for a tough game, so it's up to us to work hard, train hard, make sure we're ready for that next week. Like I said, they're a good side, they're well organised. But my boys, we just need to focus on our own game and go at them next week. Hopefully we'll get a big crowd on as well. We'll celebrate George's Day.
Cool. Thank you very much, Sam.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, of course they were on about one of their players who unfortunately had to go off to hospital because he collapsed. It was Harry Denman. And I got in touch with Westhoughton Lions. Who were great.
How is he?
Well, obviously I asked. He said, apparently he's having tests and everything was fine, but they're no closer to knowing actually what happened to him. He's home now and he's being treated as an outpatient until they can find the cause of what has happened. But at least he's home resting, and the club have offered him to obviously to come down and be involved with training and everything until he to keep his spirits up, certainly till he gets the all clear till he can go back actually playing again, which is total sort of sensible there in 2 things: make sure the guy's right first and foremost, but B, make sure that he's still, he knows he's still part of that community.
You wouldn't expect anything less from a community club. And
I'd be very surprised, but that's excellent.
It again just shows how much that Westhoughton care for the players, doesn't it? And that points to a club that's very much together. Our thoughts as well go out to Harry. All the best in your recovery. Hope we see you back out on a rugby league pitch very, very soon, mate.
Yeah, and I hope you get get it sorted in that if there is anything that needs to be looked at and checked at, and make sure that you're going to be all right moving forward.
2 games took place in Division 2 at the weekend. The first one saw Rochdale Mayfield A22, West Bank Burrs 0, and the second one, Lee Miners Rangers, they stepped in at short notice to head up to Roos Pioneers. Roos were originally due to play Waterhead, but for some reason that game didn't end up getting played, and Lee Miners stepped into the breach, which is what he wants. It's fantastic. That final score in that one, by the way, Roos Pioneers 30, Lee Miners Rangers A16. Now I've got a little bit of a rundown of who the scorers were for Roos Pioneers. So Ricky Donoghue was one of the heroes. He grabbed 2 tries. There was a try each from Josh McConnell, Tom Farron, who we spoke to the other week, who's in the England Community Lions under-19 side or squad, which is set to play in the European Championships. And then Matty Roberts also chips in with a try and the small matter of 5 conversions as well. So well played to Roos Pioneers, winning by 30 points to 16 against Lee Miners Rangers A side. Into Division 3, and we have Blackpool Scorpions 24, Lee East A0. We've got Clockface Miners A10, Banky Bulls 16, another win for Banky Bulls. This one sounded like a bit of a cracker. Higginshaw 18, Runcorn 20. And then there was a real rout at Wigan St Jude's, where Jude's won by 66 points to 12 against the Cadishead Rhinos. So an absolutely fantastic result there for Wigan St Jude's A. Into Division 4, Langworthy Reds 34, Portico Vine 20, close run thing, that. There was a 24-0 result for Westhoughton Lions A against Bolton. Now, Bolton, they've continued to appeal for players to join the club.
Yeah.
They couldn't fulfil the fixture.
I mean, that's surprising because they've been great over the years, haven't they? We sang the praises, but we know it's difficult. We know it's to keep going for so long. I mean, you have to cut your cloth accordingly, as they say.
You'll like this one. Your Liverpool Lizards winning 38 points to 28 against the Cultured Eagles.
Yeah, that was a good win. That.
The Lizards clipping the Eagles' wings.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
And then this blew all of your predictions out of the water.
I know.
Haydock 28, Oral St James A 36. What a high-scoring classic that was.
Yeah, and but as apparently one of our friends off one of the other podcasts were involved with Gaz Tinsley, who lives out in Haydock, went down to see that game, and he said it was an absolute cracker. Which we said last week it would be. It's on that cusp of a derby match, isn't it? Haydock against Oral. I mean, it's Wigan against Saints, or is it Wigan against Wigan?
Well, to be fair, it depends whereabouts in Haydock it is, doesn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
We have a result as well from the entry division. So this is the one. This is almost like a merit league where you can sort of arrange as many fixtures as you want over the course of the season, and then you play, and the idea is that the teams in this competition will perhaps look to be involved in the league campaign moving forward. So we had Limehurst Lions hosting Garswood Stags Reserves, and it finished 56-10 in favour of Garswood Stags. So big win there. And let's have a look at the other results that took, or the other fixtures that we've got taking place. I think I mentioned as well that Roosh Pioneers were playing in Division 2, didn't I?
Yeah.
It was actually a cup competition as well.
Right.
So that was the reason that they were also playing Lee Miners A. So that would explain Waterhead not travelling, because the cup takes precedence, doesn't it? So apologies, thought I'd best put myself right.
Yeah.
And I'll admit my mistakes, of which there are several sometimes, and Steve does a tremendous job at editing out my errors, but thank you very much once again, Steve. So, fixtures this coming week. In the Cup, we've got Goulburn Parkside set to play off against Wigan St Cuthberts. In the Premier Division, we've already mentioned it, Latchford Albion up against Ashton Burrs, Friday Night Lights. There's something exciting about Friday Night Lights.
And I like Vicky Park anyway, because it's a cracking facility. Pilks is another facility which is from a community point of view, that's you look at if you're going to provide something for your community to use, then those two facilities are absolutely fantastic.
The next fixture will be it's going to get you lip smacking, to be honest, Steve. Oral St James hosting Hurst Finch.
Oh, that's the biggie, isn't it?
It's a replay of the earlier Challenge Cup tie, isn't it, between those two? And then Shevington Sharks up against Heysham Atoms. In Division 1, Ulverston travel over to Burtonwood Bridge. Charlie Panthers host Thatto Heath Crusaders A. Hindley make the short trip across to Salford City Roosters. Meanwhile, as we already heard, Westhoughton Lions will face off against Dalton. In Division 2, we've got Ashton Burrs A hosting Rochdale Mayfield A. We have Roosh Pioneers on the road at Wigan Springview. West Bank Burrs make the short trip over to Newton Storm, and Waterhead Warriors A are set to play off against the Lee Miners Rangers A side. In Division 3, Banky Bulls, who's going to bring them down? Well, Lincolnshire will try their best this coming week. We've also got Lee East A set to play up at Caddy's Head Rhinos. Lovely little club, that, Caddy's Head Rhinos. I know that the England Community Lions under 16s did a lot of the training last year. The cracking little venue, lovely place. Garswood Stags, they host Blackpool Scorpions. Wigan St Jude's, they're at home to Clockface Miners A. That's a Wigan and Saints derby, isn't it? And then you have in Division 4, whether this will get played or not's another matter. Bolton up against Portico Vine. Cultured Eagles, they're hosting Westhoughton Lions A. Haydock Warriors can jump back on the horse against the Chester Gladiators. Langworthy Reds, they're at home against Oral St James A.
Yeah, should we have a quick look at the leagues at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're from a Premier Division point of view.
Finch out on top.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
4 from 4.
How did you guess that?
There's a surprise. 140 points scored already.
Is that all?
Only 14 against, though.
14 against?
14, yeah. 8 points there. Alton Falmouth Hornets played 4, 1-2. They're in second position and on 5 points. Then Oral St James, they've only played 2 games. Won 1, lost 1. And then we got Foley Lane, they played 3 and they've won 1. Then we go down to the bottom, we've got Ashton Burrs, and they're in 8th place against Latchford Albion. So Friday could be
a 4-pointer.
Yeah, an interesting game though.
I'm not used to seeing Ashton Burrs in that position.
No, all Latchford, to be fair. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know they were not been sparkling for a couple of seasons, but certainly not down in that area. But yeah, Ashton Burrs, let me say, they're usually up fighting amongst the top of the tree, aren't they?
You know what? That's whetted my appetite. Because you know what? We've got a needle match. Yeah. We've got a needle match on Friday night, haven't we?
That's what we want.
That'll be over on our Mixler channel, by the way.
So then we go into Division 1. Top of the tree there is Dalton. Played 3, won 3, 6 points for them. And then we've got Salford City Roosters. Played 4, won 3, done on 6 points. And then we've got Burton Bridge. Obviously, I've climbed up to that division. They played 3, won 2, lost 1 on 4 points. And then Ulverston, they've played 2, won 2, they got 4 points. Ulverston are on the way over to Burton Bridge, so that should be a good game at the weekend. Obviously, another one that's got something riding on it. But propping things up at 8 is Goulburn Parkside. Played 2, lost 2. 9, Wigan St Cuthberts played 3, lost 3. And finally, Chorley Panthers, another team you don't expect to see down at the bottom of the leagues.
They've usually been pretty competitive, haven't they?
Yeah, and again, same with them, played 3, lost 3. So we've got 3 teams that are still yet to open their accounts in Division 1.
So something's going to give in the next few weeks, hasn't it?
It certainly has. Division 2, we've got top of the tree is Rochdale Mayfield Air, played 4, won 3, 6 points for them. Then we've got West Bank Bears, played 4, won 3, 6 points for them. Highpool Tigers played 2, won 2, 4 points. Bruce Pioneers. Played 2, won 2, 4 points. And then we go down to the bottom, and it is Newton Storm, played 2, lost 2. Still to open their account. And finally, at the bottom is Wigan Springview. Played 3, lost 3, -1 because they've actually forfeited a game this season. So consequently, had points taken off them.
I wonder how many of those we'll see in the final table and the adjustments.
It's Division 3. We've got Garswood Stags are up there. Played 3, won 3, 6 points. Den. And do you know what? This is something I said at the end of last season. We've got Banky Bulls, played 3, won 3, also won 6 points. Obviously, newly promoted. Then behind them, Runcorn Highfield, played 4, won 3, 6 points. So 2 promoted sides there, really pushing up right at the top of Division 3. And then moving down towards the bottom, we've got Cadishead Rhinos in 8th place. They played 4, lost 4. And then we've got Lee East A, who've played 3, lost 3. -2 points because 2 of those games have been forfeited.
Yeah, unfulfilled fixtures.
So
not a good sign, that, for Lee East A.
So then we go to Division 4, and we've got A. Warriors. Played 4, won 3, lost 1 at 6 points.
Boo, the loss, boo.
But in second place is Oral St James A, who played 4, won 3, 6 points. But in third place, Parky, Chester Gladiators, Liverpool Lizards, played 4, won 3, 6 points. Just behind them, Chester Gladiators.
Fair play to them two teams.
So those 2 teams, we've constantly spoken about 2 areas which are not what you would call anywhere near rugby league heartlands, aren't they? And certainly with Liverpool Lizards, we saw how they held their hand up. They were up in a higher division. They said, look, we need to go lower down. We feel it's better for the club. Cut the cloth accordingly. And it looks as though it's certainly benefiting them. And it's great to see, absolutely great to see. At the bottom at the moment, we've got Westhoughton Lions A, played 4, 1-2, lost 2, 4 points. Portico Vine in 8, still to get off the mark. They played 3, and as I say, still scoreless from a points point of view. And then Bolton, as we've just been speaking about, 4 games played, obviously 4 losses and no points to them. But certainly, the Northwest men's starting to take a little bit of shape there. And nice to see, as I say, some of those teams that we follow. I've been following over the last few seasons. Sort of shaking up and doing the things. And the other side of that coin is, some of the teams who were normally contenders suddenly having a little bit of a struggle early doors.
It's an interesting mix of competitions, though, isn't it? And the story's still to be told, isn't there, over the course of the season?
Yeah,
I feel.
very much. And we say it every week, don't we, that it only takes a couple of back-to-back wins and you're up there. Or the other side of that coin is, if you lose a couple, then you're down amongst the strugglers, as they say.
Right, shall we cross over the hill?
Over the hill
to the Yorkshire Men's League, and in the Cup, Wibsey Warriors 8, Almondbury Spartans 40. That's an impressive performance, that, from Almondbury Spartans. Then your results from the Premier Division last year. Getting carried away already. I know there was lots of results last year, but we're talking about this year. We're talking about Saturday the 13th of April.
That's a retro programme, isn't it, where you'd actually give last year's results out?
Yeah. I wonder whether anybody ever noticed.
Well, did you last year?
Did you hear that? Oh, this time last year. Yeah. This time last year, Rodders, we were... but yes, in the Premier Division this past weekend, King Cross Park 16, Keighley Albion 22. Sounds like an absolute classic tussle, does that one. Doncaster Toll Bar had a great victory over Newson Panthers, 42 points to 4. Another close run thing between Stanley Rangers and Fryston Warriors, 16-10 to the Stanley Rangers. And then running through the rest of the divisions, well, Division 1, that saw the Ossett Trinity Tigers 26, Cutside Raiders 12, Hunslet ARLFC 26, Charleston Rovers 6, Bradford Dudley Hill have made a cracking start to the season, and they continued that form with a 20 points to 12 victory against Murfield, who we know went pretty well come the back end of the winter season. Yeah. They were in the Barley Yorkshire Cup final, weren't they?
Right,
they went through to play against Hunslet, as we were there. And then your action from Division 2, that saw a 24-all draw between Illingworth and Mull Green. That's my sort of game, Steve.
Now, is that actually a 24-all draw? Or have both sides forfeited?
you know what? That's made me think of Porridge. Do you remember the Porridge episode?
Yeah,
where the two fighters in the thing, they both take a dive at the same time, so they both hit each other in the ring, and because there's loads of bets on, they both take a dive, and it's something like the third round or something like that, and they both like laid one punch on each other. They've spent the rest of the time just running around the ring after each other. They've laid one punch on each other and just gone down. Sounds like a really good game over at Queensbury. So Brighouse Rangers winning 14 points to 12 in that one. And then Division 3, we have York Acorn 32, Upton 22, Elland and Greetland 4, Dodworth Miners 16. Good win on the road that for Dodworth. Low scoring on this one as well. Bramley Buffaloes 14, New Earswick All Blacks 0. And then your action from Division 4. that indeed saw York Barbarians at the other end of the scale defeating Dewsbury Moor by 40 points to 6. There was a high-scoring clash between the Sherburn Bears and Goole Vikings. A good win for Goole that on the road, 28 points to 22. I'm pleased for Goole with that one. I know that they're trying to put a lot of work in there, aren't they, to develop the club, playing out of some impressive facilities at this moment. Division 5. Really close one to kick us off. Criggleston All Blacks 16, Dearne Valley Bulldogs 16, and then this one not quite as close. Farnley Falcons 6, Linley St Joseph's grounding them 40. And then your results in Division 6. That saw Hemsworth Dragons 16, Birkenshaw Blue Dogs Academy 24, and then Charleston Rovers Academy 12, the Moortown Mambas 16.
Good win.
So it was a good win for the Mambas. Quick word before we move on, and Birkenshaw Blue Dogs have been in the news very recently. I got sent a little bit of a story because for quite some time they have been looking to move the club over to a place called East Bealey, and they've got the okay to do it. You know, they're going to be they've laid pitch there. It's going to be moving forward, so that could be really good for Birkenshaw Blue Dogs moving forward. So looking forward to seeing how that develops. And have I missed anybody's results out?
We've got the Hull League.
Oh yes, what's happened in the Hull League?
Well, if you remember last week, we mentioned
was it East and West Hull?
And they've got East Hull 28, West Hull 26.
Gutting.
I bet there was fireworks on that one, I'd say you. And that's what you would expect from those two sides, wouldn't you? You know, we've got a close run game in that sort of. It's a pity the professional sides can't be as close. But the other one was Cottingham Tigers 6, Myton Warriors 12.
A low scoring one, that one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of work gets done at Cottingham Tigers as well, so I'm sure they'll be eager to put the rights wrong of that. And then if we look at the other results from the National Conference League Alliance Division, we've got Bentley 0, West Bowling Academy 24, and mind the gap. And that's all that she wrote for that division.
It's plenty, but we know that's going to ramp up as things move on.
Okay, fixtures. So fixtures for the coming weekend, the 20th of April. Doncaster Tollbar at home to Ormsbury Spartans in the Premier Division. Fryston Warriors host Newson Panthers. Westgate Common go over to Keighley Albion, and Stanley Rangers are up at King Cross Park. In Division 1, Cutside Raiders, they have a grudge match against Bradford Dudley Hill. Murfield are up against Hunslet in a repeat of the Yorkshire Cup Barlow final that happened just at the turn of the year.
Parky, I'll tell you, I think that might be postponed actually.
Okay.
Just looking on the...
there it was, giving it the big build up.
No, it's got venue postponed away.
Okay, fair enough. Other fixtures, Charleston Rovers up against Siddle Academy. Wibsey Warriors host Ossett Trinity Tigers. In Division 2, Birkenshaw Blue Dogs, they're at home to Queensbury. Brighouse Rangers host Mould Green. Castleford Panthers are up at Illingworth. Meanwhile, Emley Moor Cougars travel over to the Seacroft Sharks.
Another one that's cancelled, Parker.
Okay. Division 3, Birstall Victoria against York Acorn. Dodworth Miners hosting Bramley Buffaloes. I should say that these were all what was purporting to take place as of Monday, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
And then we have New Year's All Blacks up against Elland and Gritland. Upton up against Wyke.
Another one that's cancelled.
Fair enough. Division 4, Dewsbury Moor are taking on those West Craven Warriors. Newson Panthers A were set to host Sherburn Bears. Underbank Rangers are hosting Goole Vikings. York Barbarians are at home against Ulton Raiders. And then action in Division 5 sees the Dearne Valley Bulldogs set to host the Farnley Falcons. I'm just looking at Steve now to see whether he's giving us a nod that there's been postponements. Garforth Tigers are at home against Batley. Linley St Joseph's are up against Criggleston All Blacks. And then Division 6. These are the fixtures that were put down in the book. We have Hemsworth Dragons up against King Cross Park Academy. Moortown Mambas hosting Guiseley Rangers. Rycroft Hammers are up against Keighley Albion Academy. Charleston Rovers Academy are set to host Birkinshaw Blue Dogs Academy. And then your action in National Conference League Alliance. Bentley up against Eastmoor Dragons. Hemsworth up against Shawcross Sharks. Milford hosting Stanley. West Bowling Academy up against Normanton Knights. And then your Hull division. Cottingham Tigers hosting West Hull. Myton Warriors set to take on Skirler. And the Scunthorpe Steel Sharks.
That would have been a great game, wasn't it? Up against East Hull.
Yeah. Is it?
Fortunately, it's bit the dust.
It's bit the dust. See, there's a little piece as well in this week's League Express about the Scunthorpe Steel Sharks. They've joined the Yorkshire Men's League and are looking forward to making their bow on the first Saturday in May. So maybe this is what it is. The North Lincolnshire outfit will entertain the Lincolnshire Lions on Saturday, May the 4th in their first fixture, and co-founder Lewis Mayer is adamant that the club is in it for the long haul. Formed by Mayer together with his friends Cameron Christer and Ethan Taylor, who are all keen Hull KR fans apparently, the fledgling club has crucially and successfully recruited a number of volunteers and is chaired by Mayer, while Taylor is secretary and Christer is treasurer. Former Hull KR captain Chris Harrison is coach, and he's being assisted by long-term Hull fan Liam Poynton. Sponsors have been readily forthcoming, with kit supplied by Take Care of Scunthorpe, and the Sharks will play at Scunthorpe Rugby Union's training ground at Oglesby Park, returning to their host main club stadium at Heslin Park for post-match hospitality. Mayer said, "I've been a Hull KR supporter for a long time, partly because of my late dad Carl, who was also a keen Rovers fan. I've trained with rugby league teams in Hull, and I also got to play rugby union. But when Cameron, Ethan and I got chatting, we thought, why don't we see about starting a rugby league team in Scunthorpe? So here we are, up and running and providing an opportunity to play and be involved in the greatest game in the world for people in Scunthorpe and North Lincolnshire." The response has been heartwarming, including from those who have fond memories of previous incarnations such as the Scunthorpe Braves and the Scunthorpe Barbarians, who fell by the wayside a little over a decade ago. Lessons have been learned from those experiences, and Mayer revealed, "We've got a 5-year plan in place initially. We aim to consolidate in our first season and from there rise gradually through the Yorkshire Men's League divisions. We'd like also to form a second team in the next few years, launch a junior structure and perhaps form a women's team. The portents are good. It's been noticeable in recent years that many of the Union lads enjoy watching televised rugby league matches in the clubhouse at Heslin Park and have expressed a desire to perhaps give it a go. Several are now making the most of the opportunity and we're very excited about the future." Of course, that would explain why that game isn't taking place, because if you're thinking they're getting a few players from the Rugby Union Club,
the season is still
ongoing, isn't it?
And that does happen. I know that used to happen quite a bit at Newton, where a lot of the lads played for the Union side, and it was strange. I remember that I used to first go down, and I'd be stood on the pitch watching Newton rugby side, and then next minute these lads would turn up in strange rugby kits, stood at the side and thinking,
who were they?
You played for us last season. Yeah, I still do. We're just playing rugby union, just coming to the end of the season.
Results from the Barrow Furnace Tiles League: Ulverston 14, Barrow Island 16, Millom nil, Hinepool and Roost Pioneers 54. Walney Central against Dalton was postponed, by the way. There are a couple of fixtures that whether they've gone ahead or not's another matter.
Whether they have
because of the weather. So as the show's going out, we've got Barrow Island hosting Walney Central, Dalton against Millom, and on Friday evening, Hinepool and Roost Pioneers, they're up against Ulverston. So plenty to get your teeth into if you're from Barrow as well. Tell you what is really good too. We've also had the launch of the Southern Conference League this week, and the first round of fixtures that saw Hammersmith Hills Hoist 44, North Hearts Crusaders 0, London Scholars, who's joined this division now after having withdrawn from Betfred League One at the end of last season. You know what you're going to say here now, because I'm going to say I did a match report of the final game as a professional team.
There you go. I hope you're listening that week. He's back. He's back.
Yeah,
the Grim Reaper.
But there we are, and now they're playing in the Southern Conference. So their first game come up against the Bedford Tigers, who are an established side at that level.
Yeah.
And the Bedford Tigers won by 46 points to 38. Where's the tackling?
Tell you what, you got some good money's worth there.
You did get your money's worth. Yeah. London Chargers, meanwhile, they defeated Brentwood Eels by 32 points to 10, and Eastern Rhinos, they went down to the West Warriors by 34 points to 20. This week's fixtures are set to be West Warriors up against London Chargers, Brentwood Eels hosting London Scholars, North Hearts Crusaders up against the Bristol All Golds, and Hammersmith Hills Hoists take on the Bedford Tigers.
Yep, all above board there, parking, no cancellations.
National Conference League.
Oh, National Conference League. Is that what we're going to be moving on to now, Parky?
It is, but and we've got an interview with Josh to put in at this stage where we're waffling.
Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show.
Okay, it's over to the National Conference League now, and well, there was some really, really close results in the Premier Division last week. I tell you what, before we go into any sort of detail about what was happening, I've got our special guest on the line, so it's none other than Josh Mortimer of York Acorn. How are you doing, Josh? You okay, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Hope you boys are good.
Yeah, really good, really good. I'll tell you what, the last time that we spoke, you was just, you was in the middle of your fabulous Challenge Cup run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you've carried that form into the league campaign, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been pretty happy with how we started. We had a tough afternoon away at Rochdale, and but we've picked a couple of away wins up, which is pretty rare for us, and yeah, we're pretty happy with how we're going, I think.
Yeah, because it was away wins which were hard to come by last season, weren't they?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think anybody who knows anything about us knows we're not too bad at home, but away we can be pretty wayward at times. But I mean, even against Rochdale, we lost 20-0, and Rochdale were really good. Nothing's not taking anything away from them. They were really good and deserved to win. But the game was a lot tighter than you would assume with 20-0 scoreline. And I think afterwards they knew they'd been in the game, and things hadn't gone for us, and we got bullied like later on. We weren't focusing on playing rugby, and Rochdale not living daylights out of us, to be fair. So, they knew they'd been in the game. So we've been on end of two hidings at Rochdale in recent years, and although 20-0 is not great, we were relatively happy that we won the sort of 40 odds that we conceded over the last couple of years. So.
Well, we commented about certainly close games, and Rochdale Mayfield are in more than their fair share of them. I think they've drawn the last two games now, and are knocking Kells off the top of the draw league, I think, as it stands at the moment of the Premier Division. I mean, there's some really, really good games, and I wanted to come and ask you really about your latest exploits. So you went over to West Hull at the weekend and won with virtually the last play of the game, 24 points to 19. How was the game, first of all, Josh?
Oh, it was a good game. Yeah. When West Hull they've got a pretty fair injury list, I think, at the moment. I think that's clear to see, and they've got Ryan Wilson was playing in halves, and Josh Wood was at 9, so that probably stifled them a little bit, and that's not taking away from either player, because I think both are very good. But like later on second half, Ryan went back into the back row, and Josh was just at half back, and they really, really turned the screw then. And we'd worked hard all game, and but probably just been second best to everything. We'd worked hard into wind and managed to kick a penalty late on just to make it 12-6 before half time, and then wind sort of died down maybe 10 minutes into the second half, and Westhoughton, you always felt that Westhoughton were just a little bit in front of us, and they would score, and then we would score relatively quickly afterwards, and they'd be level again, and I think a draw would have been a fair result, but they could have dropped goal over, and the kick dropped goal with 6 minutes left, and then just dropped hinders in our own 20. We couldn't get anywhere. We couldn't get any momentum, and Ryan Steen and Ben Arden were brilliant for him. Zeus Silk as well. Like all the middle forwards just putting massive work on. And as you say, well, it's the last play at game, and we were we would call it shoveling, and we were going nowhere, and eventually just the ball ended up with as winger Cal Wervo, and he was probably the only lad on field who could have scored a try, and he got round the edge of their winger, and then probably beat fullback on about their 40, something like that, and we're all going berserk. I've got forwards who've been bent into all afternoon, who celebrating on our own 20 because they've got an out left to give, and that's 2 years on trot now. We've managed to get a win away at Westhoughton, and it's definitely one of them. I will certainly look back fondly on in a few years' time for sure.
I mean, as you say, bit of a historic win, and certainly going there and winning twice in 2 years is not to be sniffed at, basically, is it? And I was kind of like looking through your team lineup, Josh, and how far was it off being your strongest, to be fair? Because everybody has players missing, don't they, week in, week out?
Yeah. We lost the player before we even got on bus, so my assistant James, since saying that, but we played the game with the man down. We only played with 16. James was an unused sub, so we only had 16, and young Elliot, who's playing for us, he's just turned 18, and he's a phenomenal kid. I got a couple missing. Jordan Myers, Ben Tenge has been scoring a lot of points for me lately. Jordan Hyde, David Burns. There's some that would certainly add to us, but we were very comfortable with. Ant Chilton didn't play as well. He'll be fuming if I don't mention him. so yeah, but we've got some real good operators. Alfie got man at match. Nathan Conroy had a great game. Matt Chilton probably had his best game of the year. Joe Porter was unreal in back row. We had about 40 lads go to Benidorm last weekend. They got back on Wednesday, so I tried to work them hard on Thursday to sweat out a little bit. And we're looking around, and like Eddie Prescott looked like a ghost on bus on way there, and Jack Burns was I think still in Benidorm for some parts of the game, and Porter was one of them. And I thought, I don't know how long they're going to be able to give me before they're going to gas up, and they just dug deep, and we had a good team out, but there's definitely some people that could have come into it, but I had a strong spine, so I was comfortable with what I've got.
You mentioned Alfie Crawford there, and obviously I know he's a key player for York Acorn. Been impressing during the Lions trials for the open age squad as well. So you must be proud as punch as to what he's doing and his progression.
Oh, I think Alfie's a brilliant kid. He's from a good family, and he's a bit of a rugby noddy. You probably won't mind me saying that. He lives, eats, sleeps rugby, and we didn't think we would have him for this year. You know, a couple of semi-pro teams were interested in him, and you know, he trialled a little bit with York, and they sort of see him as a bit more of a long-term project. And you know, I do see the longer I have Alf, you know, every game's a blessing, I suppose. Yeah, his service off the floor, like, you know, I think the only thing that is potentially holding him back is just his size. You know, he will fill out and he will grow, but you know, he wants to do 80 minutes in middle as a hooker, and he's a tough kid. Like, he really is tough. You know, Westhoughton were trying to get at him. Rochdale spent all afternoon trying to get at him. You know, Kells were trying to get at him. Yeah. You know, everyone knows the threat he poses, and he's still, you know, he's in my top 3 performers every week. So I think that shows how good a player he is.
I was going to say, as a small player as well, you're always going to get targeted, aren't you? Because people might see you as being, you know, one of those guys that you can get easy meters on, or you can get a bit of leg work on, for example. But Alfie stands up way above his size, doesn't he, in that respect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's Big Joe. I might pronounce his last name wrong, but it's like Sierra or something like that. Plays for Rochdale, massive Fijian lad. You know, straight at the top of him when we're playing him. You know, I've just got underneath ball and dumped him. You know, it's like, you know, he knows how to tackle, and obviously that's a great strength. And you know, we do talk about making sure that he doesn't, if we can avoid it, he doesn't get those first up contacts. But you know, from a kick chase, he'll still be first man there. You know, and it's and that's his desire to be there. He wants to do that, and you know, we often talk, especially to my middles, you know, that Alf's going to set the line speed, so you've got to get with him. You know, you've got to be there. We can't go up as a dog leg because Alf's setting the line speed. You know, if you can't keep up with him, get your hand up and I'll get you off. So that's where we are. We sort of changed our systems a little bit to suit his game a little bit better. But like Lewis Lord, you know, jumps in, you know, at 9 occasionally, and he's upped his game, you know, regarding that as well. And Connor Eden as well, as a younger 9 coming through. They're trying to replicate that, and I think well, obviously against Slot Lane, Lewis looks really stepped up, and I'll drive standards. You know, he's, if the ball goes down in training or something like that, he's the first one to address it, and just for me, you know, it's great.
This is what I always love to hear, and it's interesting hearing, you know, like a coach's point of view, because obviously we watch the game from the touch lines, and you know, we've you know, whoever you speak to in rugby league, they've all got an opinion on a player and how they play and stuff like that, haven't they? You know, so this is why I really like hearing some of the other aspects, you know, which perhaps people don't always see. The fact that, you know, there's players that they do lead with line speed, and they do lead with actions that your normal fan won't necessarily see, you know, and it's all those sort of like backing up runs, isn't it, and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Nobody really counts other than coaches.
No, I mean, like obviously, you know, I mentioned before, I'm a Featherstone fan, and we had a lad from OKR last week against Bradford, and I fell out with a fan on the forum saying, like, you know, he's useless, he don't do out, whatever. It was like, the poor lad must have had 25 carries in the game and got bent up. You know, it was like, it was just a ball of energy for us. You can't knock a lad who's come and had a go. No. You know, you can get narcs to people who just turn up and don't put the, I mean, Ash Hanley once turned up for us, and you know, I might as well have not been there. He were a linesman, but you know, like, don't send them lads. But if you're going to send a young lad on a dual reg who just is prepared to dig in and have a go, you've got to applaud that. And you know, I've got a few boys who, you know, their work will go unnoticed by a casual fan. You know, and they'll probably like, you know, Jordan Potter, Lewis Lord, Elliot Bowman. They'll be like, oh, you know, I don't really see what he adds to the team, but the players around him know what he adds to the team, and you know, they're the ones that when he chips it down and it gets tough, you know, and you're getting offline from a dropout or something like that, and you'll see Potter make that first contact, you know, like, he ain't getting out of the way. He's going to put his body on line for 80 minutes, and I'm going to do the same too.
So I know you said that you're, you know, fairly happy, I suppose, with the way that the start of the season's gone, because like you say, you're a couple of games behind a lot of the other teams, aren't you, at the moment, due to your success in the Challenge Cup as well. You know, and you're handily placed. I mean, 4 games, 3 wins, just that one defeat that you mentioned about, you know, with Rochdale Mayfield, and looking at the league, there's only a handful of sides that have got a better defence than yourselves at the moment.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, you know, I had someone message me the other day about, you know, if we'd won our games that had been cancelled, you know, we'd be top at league, and I was like, well, let's not get carried away. Like, you know, they were both tough games. So, but you know, we discussed, we've got a 5-run block now where we play 4 away games and 1 home game.
Okay.
And after 8 games, we'll have played 6 away games and 2 home games. So obviously the cancellations have obviously done that for us. But if we can be sitting in a good position after we targeted 3 wins out of 5 for this 5 block. If we can be sat, you know, on top 6 wins, you know, even 5 wins from that block. Come, you know, peak summer, we've got a lot of home games. Obviously, we're better at home. Like, you know, it's tough. You know, availability usually changes for people. Like, we've got to be pretty chuffed with where we are. You know, our goal is still the playoffs. You know, we believe we're a top 6 team. You know, we want to get there. And show what we're about at the end of the year. You know, on our day, we feel we can compete with anyone. Sort of in recent years, you know, teams would probably say that, you know, that Acorn can compete, but we're not consistent enough. So, you know, if we can do the hard work at the start of the year when it's tough, then, you know, hopefully we can sort of ride that wave a little bit.
And as you've mentioned, we're still at that start of the year. What do you make of what you've seen from the league so far? I mean, I'm just looking at the table now. So you've got Hunslet out on top with 4 wins and 2 draws. You've got Siddle 4 wins and 2 losses who've really hit back. I don't know about you, but they've really impressed me with the way that they've gone about the business. Yeah,
really good. Like, Siddle's social media, I think they must either have someone who really cares about the club, or they're paying someone to do it, because their social media is just fantastic at the moment. You know, they've got interviews everywhere. They've got really good content, you know, constantly, and obviously it helps that their team is doing the business on the field. And I've seen a few of their games, and you know, we've got a real tough ask coming up against them. I think start of May, and you know, Siddle is one of those teams for me that it is the pinnacle of amateur teams. I think you know, there's other teams that would probably argue that they're in that bracket. You know, and they could all make balance, but I would say that Siddle are the flagship sort of amateur team in the country, from you know their tops all the way through to the masters. And obviously because they've got everything right in those situations, it's no surprise that their first team is one of the best as well. You know, Hunslet will be there, Rochdale will be there, Westhoughton will definitely be there. You know, so if we can mix with those, you know, we're doing it something right. You know, you can't look past the Cumbrian teams. Kells are a really good team. Everyone have picked some good wins up, and you know, and only a forward right off Barrow. So, you know, it's a tough league. You know, I think everyone on their day with the right teams out would be confident of beating anyone. So,
I mean, that's the thing from the first sort of 6 weeks. Everybody else is beating everybody, aren't there? There's only Loch Lane and West Bowling who's yet to pick up league wins, but I think it's only a matter of time for Bowling in particular, because they've had a couple of really close run games, haven't they?
They have, and they've had a few lads who got some heavy bans start of year from the Challenge Cup match, I think. So they're going to start coming back into the team, and they're both good players. You know, like Lock Lane, we played them other week last week, and their middles, their pack is good. Like, you know, you can't write off, like, you know, Siddons and Danny Holmes and Sean Pick. Like, they're very good players. They just maybe lacked a bit of creativity, I thought. You know, but like, you know, they've got Lewis Price injured, they've got Danny Sowerby injured. You know, they're both involved with England team, and you know, they will come good, and they're a very good momentum side. You know, we've been on back end of a few hidings from them. You know, when they've got the tails up, and I think that's all it'll take. It'll just take a spark, and then Lock Lane will be, you know, be back climbing up the table. You know, they're too good not to be.
If we also look at the fixtures ahead for this week, start first of all with your own side at home against Thatto Heath. I suppose on their day as well, Thatto can still mix it with the best of them, can't they?
I mean, like, you know, there's Dave Pike, Jamie Tracy, Adam Eskith. Like, they're very good players, you know, and individually on their own. If they've got their heads on, or they want to prove a point, all three of them can individually destroy a team. And you know, we are certainly not looking past them or taking them lightly. That is for sure.
And the rest of the Premier Division fixtures, well, Hunslet at home to Heworth, Kells at home to West Hull, West Bowling over at Lock Lane. That's already looking like a real 4-pointer, that one, isn't it? And Rochdale Mayfield at home to Egremont, and well, what looks like a real clash of the Titans, Siddle at home to Wathbury Hornets.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, Dave, I'd bet on all the home teams this week. But I'd like to see Lock Lane's team before making that bet, I think. But I mean, all the teams travelling to each other will still fancy their wins. You know, Heworth will have no pressure on them at Hunslet, you know, and they'll want to get a statement there if they can. And you know, Hunslet have the same issue every week that everybody wants to topple them. So it's, you know, that it must be difficult to continuously raise your game to challenge to that. You know, West Bowling, as you say, I think are starting to find their feet a bit more and will come good. Siddle will fancy themselves at home for sure. Yeah. But yeah, like there's too many good teams to just say that, you know, that teams are going to roll over, because they certainly won't do. You know, we've been in around that, you know, sort of 5th to 8th, 9th position over recent years, and you know that's an absolute dogfight for those. You know, there was, I think, last game of the season there were 5 teams that could still make the playoffs.
And then one final thing really before I let you go, and I know that you coaches and, you know, people don't generally like looking more than a week in advance, but I've already done that because I noticed that we've reached that stage of the season where it's like the first of the weekends where if you've had any sort of postponements, you can have games, can't you? And you sort of like play them. And you've got a Friday night lights game up at West Bowling. I have to admit, I always do like a night game, particularly community. I was over at Ince Rose Bridge last week when they were playing against Clockface, and I don't know, you know, although the weather was rotten, you know, it's probably not that far. I'm recording this on a Monday night, and it's been foul today for the most part as the weather. But you know, there's just something a little bit special about night matches for me.
There is. You're absolutely right. You know, I think they're better supported. People are pleased they've sort of finished with work, and you know they've got a weekend, and you find that you know, I would say like old boys, but your lads who you've had to sort of give up or come away from rugby because of like family commitments, they find it easier to get a pass out on a Friday night, and obviously they turn up and you know they get amongst it with their mates, and you'll see people dancing. So they get a bit giddy, and you know that, you know, everyone's a bit giddy because, you know, weekends come in, and the players are all giddy because they've got a free weekend as long as they play Friday night, you know, and he definitely has something else. And when like I said, we'll be under lights, I imagine, but we've got a return game against them also on a Friday night, and that probably should middle of summer we'll be set out with barbecue hopefully and enjoying ourselves that way.
Oh, I hope so. I can't think of a better place to be than York with a barbecue, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll do. I'll make sure I invite you. I've got a good fact about sirloins, and I'll get you on for it.
Josh, as always, an absolute pleasure. Best of luck ahead of the weekend. I wish you well, and it's always great to have a catch up and sort of find out how you've been going. So I appreciate the chat, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Keep up the good work.
So there was Josh. Great to hear from him. I always love having a chat with Josh Mortimer from York Acorn. We certainly got into the nooks and crannies, didn't we, of the Premier Division without mentioning the other results. I don't know how we managed that, but let's run you through those. So Egremont Rangers 40, Lock Lane 10, Rochdale Mayfield 24, Hunslet 24. So that's your draw specialists. They've replaced Kells. Kells have also drawn 2 games this season, as of Rochdale Mayfield. So those are your 3 sides to look out for if you like your draws. Obviously, it's something that if you're a Super League fan, you don't get to see a draw these days, do you?
You don't, no.
So get yourself over to community clubs, and then you got the potential of having a look at it. Thatto Heath Crusaders went down by 42 points to 6 against Siddle. A couple of tries there from Hosty as well, who kicked 5 goals. Always interesting to keep a note on what Lewis Hosty's doing, because he's a fantastic little player. Wathbrow Hornets back to winning ways against Kells by 22 points to 14. Heworth just edging out West Bowling 24 points to 22. And of course, the big game that we were talking about there between West Hull 19 and York Acorn 24. So what has that done to the rest of the competition? Well, it meant that everybody's been looking forward to the games that were played elsewhere. I mentioned that I was over at Ince Rose Bridge last Thursday night. This was in Division 1. They were up against local rivals, Clockface Miners. And this came about as a result of the fact that both clubs were having days out at Aintree at the Grand National.
And that happens regular, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We come across this every season, don't we, Parky?
But I tell you what, there was only one runner and rider at the weekend, and it was certainly Ince Rose Bridge. And they've got a guy called Callum Hughes to thank in the main for this victory. So he's a wingman that a couple of years ago scored about 40 tries in the National Conference League.
Yeah.
An outstanding season that he had. And as a result, like often happens, he got courted by professional clubs. So he's tried his go in the professional ranks, playing for Swinton, played a little bit for Rochdale. I think he might have also done a couple of reserve games at St Helens as well.
Yeah.
And he's thought, I want to get back into community rugby. I want to go back playing for my community club. He's back. He scored a hat-trick. Okay, probably could have had 4, but for a forward pass call into corner, weren't sure about that. I mean, not for me to criticise any referees, but he was fuming. He could have had 4 tries. There was also a really good try scored by Robbie Valentine as well. So he's been training with the England Community Lions squad over the last sort of couple of sessions that they've had. And basically, they've got 2 big props of Ince Rose Bridge, which they use pretty well. Yeah. One of them, Jack Morrison, also played a bit of pro rugby for Coventry. So basically, they'd sent the 2 props right up the middle, scattered the defence. Onto the third play, the ball goes 2 passes to the left, and Robbie spots the slightest of gaps, surges through it. He sees that there's 2 props that are a bit slow after having been caught up in the other thing, so he's clocked them. Basically, they've been caught up in the tackle. Perfect vision. So then he's took them on, beat them, burst through another tackle, does a cheeky chip and chase, no less, from about 40 yards out, wins the race ahead of the fullback, scores underneath the post. Brilliant. So there I am, thinking as well, because he's also laid on a couple of tries over the course of the game. He's on for the star man rating at this rate. Then he gets himself sin-binned in second half. Reactionary high tackle. But it didn't seem to affect the flow of the game too much, to be honest. So Ince Rose Bridge were leading 24-0 at half time. I've mentioned about the hat trick from Hughes, the virtuoso try from Robbie Valentine. Peter Valentine chipped in with a try. Holcroft also scored as well. Robbie Valentine kicking 4 goals, Pete Valentine kicking 1. In response, Clotface Miners came up with a try in the second half. They deserved it because they kept plugging away, and on another day probably could have had 2 or 3 tries. There was one in particular where they kicked over twice, but they didn't get the bounce of the ball like Robbie had in the first half, and someone ended up kicking it and it going dead. So that on another day could have been a try. Again, there was a big effort from Graham, who we've commentated on already this season. He was perhaps the pick of the forwards for Clotface Miners. They ran at him tirelessly all the way through the game. He must have come up with about 40 tackles. But ultimately it was Ince Rose Bridge that won the evening by 34 points to 4. Afterwards, I caught up with Robbie Valentine, and I asked him about the game and what he thought of it.
Okay, I'm joined by man of the moment here. It's Robbie Valentine. How are you doing, Robbie?
Yeah, good mate.
So I'm catching up with you in the aftermath of what was a tough afternoon, really, a tough evening up against Clotface. What did you make of the game?
Tough, conditions were bad. I think we muscled it out in for start, got a couple of tries and then we walked away with a win really at the end, just stuck in.
We were just saying before I pressed record there that those are really the satisfying type of wins, aren't they, where you have toughed it out, the defence was like rock solid all night.
Yeah, you have to just go back to basics and just keep it all simple and safe, yeah.
Having said that, there was a typical virtuoso try from yourself where you kicked it over the top and then won the race from about 40 metres.
Yeah, a lucky one. You could have gone you don't catch it, then you get told off.
But I mean, it is one of those nights where the pack's really fronted up, haven't they?
Yeah, we've toughed it out, we've done well.
And then from your own point of view, how do you think you went?
Good. Good for conditions. It's just kept it simple.
Yeah.
Obviously kept kicking them. That worked. It's kept it simple and drag the win out.
Because to be fair, I mean, you can talk all you want about skills and stuff, but when you get nights like that, glue pot pitch, it is always going to be who wants it more. And I thought right from the off, you bashed Clotface a bit.
Yeah, we stuck in. Defence were good, solid. I don't think we missed tackles, driving them back, forcing errors. So I think that's what won us game, our defence.
I wanted to have a bit of a catch up with you anyway, because it's the first time I've seen Ince Rose Bridge, sadly this season for me. Yeah. How's it been going? How does that rate with how you've been done so far?
Well, we started off good, two wins, and then I didn't play against Lee, but I was told we played well up and towards end, and then lost at end. And then last week, the players, it was just all over at show, and then we've regrouped this week and proved what we needed to do.
So it's been pretty good given sort of like how it is with players missing and stuff, like happens in community game.
Yeah, that's it. There's a couple of injuries and people want to know this, so we just start regrouping and do what we can on there.
How long have you been down here for?
Since I was 14.
So 14?
I was 13, 14.
So I mean,
it's about 14 years.
So did you actually start off here then, or was
I've always been here.
Always been a Bridger.
Yeah, I don't change.
And it must be good as well, because there's all the family connections in there.
Yeah, it's good. Darren, he's been coaching me since 18 now, so that's 10 years of Darren coaching. So he's done just as long as me at the club there.
I mean, it's pretty good. I get the feeling it's one of those clubs that you stick around at.
Yeah, we're not like St Patrick's where they can come and go. Where we just stick. We're just like, you play for Bridge, you play for Bridge. And
to be fair, I felt that you could tell that when you were watching that, because it's one for all and all for one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're all just one unit. We're all just for each other. Everyone sticks together. Yeah.
I want to ask you as well about the Lions experience so far. How have you found that?
Good. It's good. I wanted to do it try it for a couple of years, but then never been committed with rugby. And then this year my dad's been on at me for have a little go at it, and then I've done it to obviously start it pay off.
I mean, like, I know it's starting to ramp up a bit now, isn't it? You know, so what's your sort of thoughts? Because we're heading into like next training session, which is like beginning of next month, I think.
I'll try not to forget my book for starters, and then just do my own thing. If I just play with my game, don't try and do too much. Just stick to what I do.
Are they having you playing something slightly different than what you used to here?
It's just fast, yeah. Everything's like, it's good. It's a good level. Where I've not played centre since I played centre when I was 14 up to 16, but I was playing in a good level team. So when you're at centre in a good level team, they're putting you into them positions for scoring tries. Where at this level of rugby, where it's a bit sloppy, you've not got the players you had when you was younger. So you just have to just do what you can on the day at your position. I'm a better 13 for my club now, but in a team where you've got half-backs who's going to get you and pick the right option, then I'll be good at centre. I'll be good.
And I mean, to be fair, with the sort of roles that you do play here, there's probably not a position on the field that you don't already know anyway, isn't there?
No, that's it. Played it long enough now, and since 18s, just had playing different positions, trying new things, seeing what I like, but enjoy 13.
Yeah, really liked speaking there to Robbie. Interesting character. He was just finishing that interview actually by saying that he enjoys playing that 13 role, and the way that Ince Rose Bridge have him playing is very much like extra halfback. So things flow through him, and he's usually able to use his kicking game. He can kick goals as well. So really good to speak to Robbie there, and I look forward to seeing how both him and Ince Rose Bridge go on through the season now.
Yeah, because they're hanging in there. I think they're about fifth, aren't they? Something thereabouts at the moment.
They are. They've just been overtaken, having said that, by Waterhead Warriors up to a couple of years. I've done 50 years again, haven't I? Up to a couple of years ago, they were never in this division, were they?
That's right. Yeah.
So they've done really well. But up to a couple of weeks ago, they hadn't won a game at Waterhead. They've defeated Hull Dockers by 42 points to 6 this past weekend, with Fogarty scoring a hat-trick, Cameron scoring 2 tries, and a certain Hamilton getting himself on the try-scoring charts as well. Elsewhere, we've had a couple of close games. So we've had Alton Raiders 18, Crossfields 18. Nothing to choose between those two sides. Then Dewsbury Moor Maroons have continued their excellent start to the season. It's now 6 wins on the spin for them. They defeated Leek Miners Rangers by 24 points to 10. Woodcock, Sam, Walker and James, the try scorers. Walker kicking 4 goals. For Miners Rangers, well, it was McGowan and Ashworth with the tries. Marco Williamson with the lone goal. They trailed by 12 points to 0 at half time, and Dewsbury Moor Maroons got the job done in the second half. There was also a big result for Stanningley as well. They've been a little bit hit and miss so far over the course of the season, but they can start looking up the table again after a 27 points to 12 win against Skirler. And there was the small matter of a game you was at, let's see.
It was. I was over at Woolston Rovers versus Wigan St Pat's. Wigan St Pat's secured a hard-fought 26 points to 10 victory over Woolston Rovers in an NCL Division 1 encounter. The win keeps Wigan in third place in the league, while Woolston Rovers remain outside the playoff positions. Woolston Rovers started brightly, with Dan Fernley scoring a try to respond to an early effort from Will Jones for Wigan St Patrick's. However, the tie began to turn Wigan's way after Deck O'Donnell went over for a try, which he converted. Woolston cause was not helped by a number of disciplinary issues. Lewis Dawson was sent off for use of the head in the 56th minute, while Ryan Brown was sin-beamed for foul play, with Wigan's Danny Riding also being sin-beamed twice for separate offences. Wigan extended their lead through tries from Taylor, Gibson and Sprout. Smith added 2 more goals to complete the scoring for Wigan. Despite being a man down though, Woolston Rovers did manage to score another try through Fernley, converted by Lawton. This was a vital win for Wigan St Patrick's in the push for the playoff spots in the NCL Division 1. Woolston Rovers, on the other hand, will be disappointed with the result and will be looked to improving their discipline in upcoming matches. They travel to Leigh Miners on Saturday, and head coach Billy Sheen wants to see his side find a way to emerge from a tight game victorious. We are certainly competing against teams for large parts of the game, but at the crucial moments we are not able to take our chances, and that has resulted in us losing some close games, he said. We need to have confidence in our ability and start to dominate teams more by respecting the ball and completing our sets. Leigh Miners have had a decent start to the season, so this will provide us with another tough test, but it is one that we're certainly looking forward to. Rovers currently sit 9th in NCL Division 1. I go Westhoughton Rovers against Wigan St Cuthberts. Got to say, Parky, it was on about the sin binnings and sending off there. It wasn't a dirty match. It sounds as though...
Even though there was lots of cards shown.
Yeah. A lot of those were from sort of one incident, as it were. So, and must admit... the Reading or Riding who got sin-binned twice.
I did have to smile when you said he got sin-binned twice.
Well, I was stood on the St Pat's side of the pitch, and obviously he came off twice and he was pleading his innocence and why we thought it was wrong, etc. But I've got to say, the number 6, Dec O'Donnell, was very, very good. And for me, if he'd have stayed on, because he got sin-binned, but I think they kept him off after that.
Okay.
But he was instrumental in a lot of stuff. And if I'm not wrong, within their first set of 6, and Pat's first set of 6, he kicked a 40-20, which pushed him down the other end of the field, and they opened the scoring. With Jones, I think it was. Fernley, who, if you remember rightly, I think it was last season or the season before, I said about this guy, I said he was class.
Well, if you remember last season, I think I went and saw Woolston a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I'd commented the same thing. I'd say, I see what you're on about. Second rower.
Yeah.
Really runs good lines. Quite often gets him through the defence.
Yeah, good lines, and also goes through a good defensive spell. Obviously, over the past few weeks, Addy Files has got all the plaudits, and rightly so, because he's scoring tries.
Yeah.
But he was a bit nullified this weekend.
They done the homework then.
Yeah. And they just couldn't get any real rhythm together at all. I mean, Pats were at it all the time, and you can see that they've got 6 matches, won 5, lost 1. And obviously the points deduction has put them back into third place. Otherwise they'd be right up there amongst it and be on the coattails of Dewsbury Moor Maroons.
It does again mean that when you look at that league table, by the way, that there's so many teams that are closely packed together.
Yeah.
I love looking at Divisions 1 and 2. Yes, I know we talk about the Prem, and we know already how tough a division that is, and how Josh spoke about it, really eloquently. But I like these other couple of divisions, because of the jeopardy.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've got 3 teams that go up at the end of every season, 3 teams that come down.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you're getting promoted to the Prem, you've got 3 teams dropping down and 3 teams going up. So in that Division 1, you've got 6 new teams every year.
That's right. It's like a whole new division.
Yeah.
And even if you're the team that's, one of the teams that's in that mid-table, and you're not going to go down, you're not going to go up. Suddenly,
you might do the next season.
Yeah, well, suddenly the next season you're playing against it's like a brand new league to a certain extent.
It is. I genuinely enjoy it when we get the results coming through. You mentioned about one of the fixtures, so Woolston Rovers at home to Leigh Miners Rangers this weekend. Other fixtures from the division: Clockface Miners are hosting those unbeaten Dewsbury Moor Maroons. Hull Dockers will host Crossfields, Waterfields. I'm turning into a bakery now.
Oh, nice bakery. Some nice cream donuts there.
Yeah. They're right at the side of Fleet Miners Rangers Junior Club, which we'll talk about in just a little while. But yeah, Waterhead Warriors. They have an unenviable task over at Alton Raiders. Skirler are at home against Ince Rose Bridge. Wigan St Pat's, meanwhile, host Stanley. That looks to be an outstanding fixture for the competition this coming week. In Division 2, again, close games abound. So you got Millom 18, Ellenborough Rangers 10 in the Cumbrian derby there. Martyn Warriors 30. Wigan St Jude's 36. Now, St Jude's were winning 24-6 at half-time in that game, and yet nearly nearly gave it away to Martyn Warriors. Just the 6 points separating them in the end. Normanton 18, Oldham St Anne's 16. A thriller minute ride, that one. Oldham St Anne's, though, they'll have been kicking themselves. They were leading by 16-6 at half time in that one. And there was an excellent game over at Pilkington Rex, who actually swapped this fixture. So originally, when we talked last week, it was due to be Dewsbury Celtic who were hosting this game. And it got switched due to the condition of the pitches. We all know what's happened, don't we, Ed? 24 points to 16, Dewsbury Celtic won. It was a real high quality game, this one as well, by all accounts. Dewsbury Celtic winning 18-4 at half time and having to contend with the Pilks Rex fight back in the second half. You'll notice there's 2 games that we haven't mentioned. Saddleworth Rangers against Thornhill Trojans and Shawcross Sharks up against Barrow Island. Both of them postponed for waterlogged pitches, and I think both of those have been rearranged as well for a little bit later in the season. I think it's coming up in a few days' time, actually, when we've got the first of the free dates where you can fit in any fixtures which you've got to do. So the fixtures this weekend in Division 2, we've got Barrow Island hosting Saddleworth Rangers, Ellenborough Rangers at home to Dewsbury Celtic, Thornhill Trojans this time travel up to Millom, Shawcross Sharks are at Normanton Knights. That looks like an outstanding tie.
Yeah.
Oldham St Anne's against Martyn Warriors, and there's a small matter of a Wigan and St Helens derby as Pilks Rex host Wigan St Jude's. That's got star quality written all over it, that one.
Yeah, it's always a good game. Always, Pilks Rex versus Jude's is always a good game. And obviously, Rex are not in the best of shape at the moment. Although that result last weekend wasn't too bad, even though they didn't come away with a win. I'm sure they'll step it up against Jude's. And that's going to be an interesting game, I must admit.
Also some interesting fixtures that took place in Division 3 at the weekend. So Dissington 36, Featherstone Lions 6, a hat-trick there from Cook, 4 goals from the boot of George. The Lions were only trailing by 16-6 at half-time, so that's a really good second half for Dissington, who, we're on defence watch here, aren't we? With Dissington, because we know what an outstanding start to the season that they've made. So just for those fellow statos out there, that means that in 5 games, they've scored 100 points, but more impressively, conceded just 38. East Leeds 36, Bentley 10. A couple of tries there from Duckworth. Roy Railton, who I thought had a really good game the other week against Lee East. Yeah. He scored a couple of tries as well. This is the big one. Andy Giacchesi making a great comeback. Really pleased to see Andy back on the field. He was one of the Lions heroes in Italy a couple of years ago for the under-19s. He's been beset with injury issues ever since. In fact, if you remember on that trip, I think it was in the final, he dislocated his knee. And that meant that for much of the rest of the last sort of like 18 months between that competition and now, he's been trying to overcome that. So he's played just a handful of games in the meantime. So I'm seriously hoping that he's back. To kind of take that song, he's back for good now. But great to see him back, by the way, Andy. And scoring tries as well. Goal split between Littlewood and Riley. Bentley had a couple of tries from Cresswell and Seaman. He seems to be scoring a lot this season, doesn't he? Seaman, the back rower for Bentley. Up at Hensingham, there was an impressive win for them against Lee East, winning by 24 points to 22. Your man Wetherill was the difference. 4 goals from his boot took them clear.
His pink boots.
And while we're on try watch, Prescott's just managed 1 this week. But Charlton, the prop forward, who's dual regging from Workington Town.
Yeah.
He scored 2 tries, so it was definitely an afternoon for the big fellas as far as Enzingham were concerned, winning 24 points to 22. And then last but by no means least, it's easier for me to say.
I was just going to say that.
Milford 16, Beverley 30. So Jones, Bishop, Payne and Tierney scoring tries for Milford, but ultimately it was the experienced Josh Poskett at fullback who proved the difference with a try and 5 goals for Beverley. All the scores going the way of Hutchinson, Carroll, Hardy and Rose. So what's that done to the table? Dissington still out on top. They edge on point difference Hensingham. Those 2 teams have an identical win-loss record. Dringlington are third with 3 wins from 4 games. East Leeds have won all 4 of their fixtures so far. They're so handily placed to do a real tilt at the title. Lee East have lost a little bit of ground over recent weeks with a couple of losses there. Beverley tucked in just behind them on point difference alone. And then you've got Milford, Bentley and Seaton Rangers and Featherstone Lions still haven't won any games so far this season. The fixtures this coming weekend in Division 3, East Leeds host Hensingham, Featherstone Lions are at home to Driglington, Lee East are at home to Beverley, doesn't get any easier on this run for them, and Seaton Rangers take on Dissington. Bit of a local derby that one.
Yeah.
So those are the fixtures. That's the results from the National Conference League. Now, before we leave you, we've got one more interview to bring you, and it was a great delight once again to be involved and on Lions duty on Saturday, and it was the turn of the new under-16s, the new intake of the under-16s to meet up for the very first time. They had a presentation first of all from the coaching staff where they talked about standards and what they could expect. They talked a little bit about certain calls that they're going to have on attack and defence over the course of the programme, and then it was a case of getting out onto the field. And we've got to thank Lee Miners Rangers Juniors here because they have stepped in at short notice to host the lads. And I'm excited by this group. This group has a set of forwards who have some brilliant hands, by the way. They move the ball and they move the ball confidently. Yeah. There was a number of different drills that Martyn and the staff had them practicing and doing and playing against each other. So there was they did forwards against backs in a couple of things, and these forwards, they look half decent. Yeah. I'm really enthused by it. So I'm enthused. So what does the coach make of it? Well, earlier on this week, I had a chat with Martyn Ellis.
Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show.
Yes, we're turning our attention to England Community Lions and precisely the under-16s. On the other end of the line, I've got head coach Martyn Ellis with me. How are you doing, Martyn? You okay, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah.
So it's quite an exciting time of year, this, because obviously you've been through, you've looked at so many hundreds of players. You've got down to the final 20 for your squad selection for this year, and what's looking like an exciting set of fixtures as well, mate.
Yeah. It obviously started January all the way through. We've been south, Cumbria, Yorkshire, northwest. So we've seen over 300 players over the time, and then to the last 60 trial, and then down to selecting the 2 squads at the end of it. So yeah, the Lions 20 and the regional as well.
I want to talk through the Lions 20 because I was there at the side of the pitch, camera in hand, at the weekend as all the lads met up for the first time. And don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of these squads over the last few years. I had a pretty good feeling about this one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it was a great start. Obviously, we had the meeting inside to set our standards and things, and then moved on to the field session. We had a bit of an icebreaker where they give us the nicknames. There was some interesting ones as well, and a bit of a one-liners. But yeah, it was good. There was a good feel about it. It was a good he was a great first session. To be fair, I was really impressed with the skills on show. To be honest,
I just remember Big Joe from Lee Miners. That's what I remember from that. To be honest, but yeah, and one thing that really caught me when I was watching the session was, blimey, you've got forwards what can play and they can pass and they can move.
Yeah, he's something what we identified really. A little bit of watching games prior, really. Been out and watched a few games and stuff, and then with the new rulings and things and the tackle techniques, and we thought we just need a bit of mobile players and middles and who can play a bit. And yeah, there was plenty of skill on show, to be fair.
Going through the squad, there's a good healthy mix of players from right across the country, really, isn't there? You know, several Cumbrians, several Yorkshire players, a couple of lads from like the northeast were very, very close to selection, as well as the guy that's in there, Saul.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously we got Saul there and coming from that side, and then it's a good mix, to be honest with you. It was a good balance of the squad with her. And
as well, when you can like looking at it, hopefully we get to a point where the ground's firm up. I know we're recording this on Monday night and the weather's been atrocious once again.
Yeah.
But you know, this is a real, I get the feeling, a real top of the field sort of team.
Yeah, I think that's how we've looked to identify it. We want to make sure we can play a bit of rugby, and hopefully it'll dry up soon. We've struggled for a venue really, so I was pleased that Lee Miners Juniors there stepped in and let us use their fields there for the next few weeks, which is good of them, to be honest with you. Yeah,
and it's always a good setting there, isn't it? You know, I know that they've been really good for the Lions programme over the last 18 months or so.
Yeah, they've been great. Obviously, we started the other week with the 17s and the 19s have been there, but yeah, been great all the way through, to be fair. And like I said, they stepped in and helped us out for the next few weeks there. It is a bit wet, but isn't everywhere at the moment. But we're just grateful for the field to get the lads started, really.
You mentioned a couple of interesting challenges, that were set. Like, I noticed that during the session and then even after the session, you got the lads to do a few little challenges, didn't you? And I suppose it's all about getting to know these guys and the guys getting to know each other.
Yeah, we threw some challenges in the training session. We did a lot of stuff like forward feedback and a few little games and things, and just to get them to know each other and get used to each other as well, and in the positions they play in and stuff. And yeah, it was interesting because they had a good laugh with it as well towards the end, so it was good.
Yeah, there was a few of the lads opening up a little bit, wasn't there? And you were starting to see some of the characters coming through.
Yeah, we were laughing at the end. I was chatting with one of the lads, and he was actually sort of having banter with the coaches and things as well, which is good. And I thought that was really positive after the first session, and that he was comfortable to do that as well. So.
Now, the next session that you've got the regional under-16s coming in as well. For those people who perhaps aren't aware, the regionals were set up a couple of years ago, weren't they, to give other players the chance to represent the Lions programme, represent the clubs, and to play some representative rugby.
Yeah. So they brought it back in this year with the touring side from France. So we've obviously picked two squads, the regional and the Lions. So we will work at side by side basically in training, and they'll both obviously, the two squads will come together as well and work hard, and it'll develop it on both sides really.
And again, the interesting thing about having a regional select as well is that the door isn't shut at all, is it, on those players? So for example, I was chatting to Tom Farron, who's representing the under-19s this year, and he started off in one of these regional squads a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it gives them the experience, and do you know what? It gives them a taste of it, in my opinion, so that next year at under-17s or 19s, whatever they're going to go for the year after, it gives them that taste, and it wants them. They feel like they want to come back and challenge themselves and get in that main squad, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And keeping them in the programme, and like I say, giving them a bit of rep rugby, really.
We're 12 months on from when I sort of last caught up with you, Martyn, in the programme. You've now stepped up into the head coach's role. You enjoying it?
Yeah. Like I said, the trials have been tough. I've enjoyed the trials, but it was hard. It was, obviously, we've gone all around the country and doing what we've done to identify it. There's so many good players. It was hard to cut it to the 60 and then obviously back down to the 40. So, but yeah, I'm loving it, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it last week, getting out there, finally. Obviously, it's been a long road to get there, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of the first game in Scotland and obviously then moving on Ireland and Wales away.
It's always a big challenge, isn't it? Like when you play against these home nations, because let's be honest, they're always gunning to beat an England side. Doesn't matter who that England side is. they're always gunning to get one over those three Lions on the shirt, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, it's international rugby, and we need to be at the top of our game to compete, and I'm sure we will be by the time the first game comes around in June. So we'll be up there.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the squad comes together, and I know that from the sound of just talking to you here, you can't wait to see these lads come together as two squads, really, can you?
No, I'm really looking forward to seeing the regional this week come in, and yeah, I want to see them pull together as well, like you say, and then I want to see. I know you was in the room on Saturday and we spoke about the journey and where we're going to take it and making it the best experience possible for both squads, and that's what I'll be aiming to do. And on top of that, we'll go out and hopefully get the wins in them games as well. So
there was Martyn Ellis there. Great to speak to him, and he's as enthusiastic as I am for getting these squads together, isn't he? And I've got to say as well, fair play to the Lions for getting an under-16s regional squad back together. Yeah, it's something that came in a couple of years ago. They didn't have an under-16 regional last year, but they had it the year before.
Yeah, but obviously there's an advantage to that. Because, again, I think we spoke about this last week or the week before. These are the sorts of ages where, they can be lost to academies, to scholarships, all those types of things. So it's important that there's something there for them to be able to hang their hat on. And like Martyn says, I mean, even if they don't, they're not successful in getting in the main squad, there's the regionals there where they still got representative rugby, which then can give them that taste for, pushing on and doing that year after year. Because they've had a taste of it, it's like you said. That
happened with Tom Farron. So he is the perfect example this year for any of these prospective lads that are coming into this, regional squad to look up to for future years. So looking forward to the next training session, which is Saturday.
And let's hope the weather's good for you, mate.
I hope so. Right, have we mentioned the weather enough in this one?
No, I don't think.
So that's the weather. The weather report. The weather report. And we'll be wondering whether all of these games will get played. I'm sure they will. Steve, thank you so much. Really appreciated everything that you continue to do to make us sound good week in, week out. And by the way, if you are at Latchford at the weekend on Friday night, come and say hello.
Yep, we'll be there. We'll taking on that game because it has a bit of a different marker to it now. If we've looked at that bottom of the table, the sort of problems that the two sides have got themselves in at the particular moment.
Certainly does. There's a little bit more needle to it. We will get starting our preparation. We might need a few minutes so as Steve can edit some of the gaffes which we've put into this one. But thank you once again for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. We'll do it all again next week, shall we? See ya.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.